As some of you know, I've made a new clan called Haven. I've been wanting to make a video talking about that, but that's been delayed for a variety of reasons. This video will be about as much of an introduction as I'm willing to make at this point. I mainly want to make it clear what the focus of the clan is. Also, said focus is only part of the video's main topic, which I'll get to soon. So I talked a lot about bullying in my videos before, with many examples of personal experiences. You can hopefully also know that I do a lot to work against bullying. After all, the only alternative for like anyone who's a target is really to just take it, which if nothing else would really be a disservice to myself. There is more I'd like to do about that though, which just isn't practical for one person to do. So basically, I have an anti-bullying clan. More specifically, though, the priority is to be supportive of those who are bullied, than rather than to be like bully hunters or something. I mean, like we might do that too, but I digress. If you want to know more, just ask me about it. I'm going to talk about out some prioritization in this context because there are a lot of aspects of this which people just don't really think about, and it's something that we see in Conclave, other parts of Warframe, other video games, and so on. But of course, Conclave is the main example you all would be familiar with. So I'll use players like Doku, Mishak, and even myself as examples. Now, your experience with the former two might be different from my experience, and how people perceive me is something I'm often confused about, but it'll definitely vary by when they've interacted with me. You can actually notice a huge difference in my behavior between my videos from this year and last year. I'll put some examples in the description, but it's not very important. Anyway, those two players and I, as far as I can tell, are just people who want to enjoy the game in their way of choosing. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. We do the best that we can within the game's rules. Uh, of course, the way we play prevents some other players from having fun. So I'm just speaking for myself here. I don't play this way with the intent of ruining people's experiences, but obviously, as many people claim, I do end up ruining their gameplay experiences. So it's easy to think that if I just play more honorably by other players' standards and encourage other players to follow suit, the problem will be solved. And that's something that you see a lot of players doing, like where they just they'll play by these new standards, and then they'll go on and try to get other people to play that way. Well, yeah, it's easy to think that that might work, but that's definitely not the case. Let's look from my perspective here. The perspective of someone who not only enjoys using this allegedly overpowered or cheesy gear, but also generally enjoys fighting against it. I actually use both Doku and Mish as specific examples because of how much I enjoy playing against them. There are only two or so players who I enjoy playing against more who aren't as relevant to the topic. And that's not to say that there aren't any overpowered loadout choices that take away from my gameplay enjoyment. There is definitely stuff that's just so imbalanced that I can't really enjoy playing against it. But what might surprise you is that more often it's underpowered loadout choices that often really diminish my experience. I sort of dislike fighting players who are hardly capable of fighting against me. Yeah, in the same way, a lot of people play to not, I mean, claim to not play Conclave to deal with AoE and crowd control. I don't play Conclave to ignore most of what I love about Warframe. I've talked about this before, where like, a lot of what I enjoy in Warframe is, is like the variety of stuff that you can use and like the different ways you can combine it. Just the amount of depth it has, you know, where like it takes a lot of where it can take a lot of both mechanical and technical skill. And so yeah, the fun ruining goes two ways. Actually, probably more than two ways, since there's quite a wide variety of play styles. People have different ounces of appeal in both mechanical and technical skill. I personally like a high amount of both, as I just said. Additionally, specific aspects of gameplay and balance appeal to different people. You can love or hate things like abilities, parkour, modding, melee, gunplay, and probably more options than that. So we have all these like potential different sides, and we definitely have a and we definitely have a variety of like different sides already. Like just we already see this wide variety of players that just enjoy different things. So with all these options, it really begs the question of how we can find an ideal for the player base to appeal to, and uh, and I don't think that we can nor should. So many people have tried to appeal to their own subgroups, and this has gone on for years, as you can see in many people's videos and stuff. People have tried to get people to play some certain way or another certain way for years, and you can look at the progress really. Like it's not really anything. Like you can't tell a whole lot that that this is going on just by the stuff that people are using. And even like if it's a degree in which you can tell, it's definitely not a degree in which like it's really game changing. There's still, if people complain about like anything like static or whatever, it's gonna be like a frequent complaint or like a frequent bad experience for them. So yeah, you could argue that there's a little bit of progress and stuff like this, but it's definitely pretty far from uh, where. I mean, it's definitely pretty far from what would probably be a satisfactory point. You can't really get everyone to play by your own rules because those rules are arbitrary, and they're arbitrary because they're based on people's personal enjoyment. At least they should be, since that's the whole point of the game. So something else would actually be worse than being arbitrary. It would actually probably still be arbitrary on top of that, since it would be based on your own subjective view of what conclave or whatever should be for. So, there has to be some sort of grounding, something in which something in which players can't really disagree with. It's just you know it's just something that everyone has to work with, and it's something objective for people to work with pretty evenly. And the grounding is actually super simple, which is the goal, the mechanics, and the rules that the game already has. That is what completely defines the game, after all. That's very much what makes the game. So, as with any game, if you don't like it, don't play it. I'm gonna give a sort of weird example here. How many people hate how much of a factor height is in basketball. So, who exactly will be complaining to NBA players, telling them to play in a way which equalizes height advantage? Maybe some crazy people have or would, but it definitely hasn't worked, and I have no reason to think it ever will. What has happened though is that the rules of the game were changed to have that effect. Players wouldn't be playing it in a way which more so benefits small players because of honor or something, but because such way of playing has become a part of the rules. And the specific example was just the addition of the 3-point line and the goaltending violation. By the way, I'll link a video in which I learned that from in the description. It's actually a pretty nice video overall, which is somewhat related to the topic, which is like this video is about like balance and stuff. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to link a video about the scrub mentality. It's a video that I highly recommend that pretty much everyone watches, because I think a lot of people really fall victim to this mentality and are just like completely unaware of the problems with it. I mentioned some of my videos from last year and stuff, and I definitely think I used to be this way myself, and I definitely know quite a few players who are currently this way. I'm not going to give any names, but I think everyone should just basically like check themselves, see if what's said there applies to you, because it's really good info about it, and just like and just effective ways to approach the game, and why people may be good or bad for their approach. So yeah, I'll link both of those in the description. If you dislike the way the game's played, simply either try to get the rules to change in a satisfying way, or don't play the game. I don't think I know anybody who doesn't want to change Conclave. Many have said changes are ones that we can mostly agree on too, like, I want a Stealth Boltace nerf, I want a Static Core nerf, and what most would consider to be a Wolf Sledge nerf, which is removing the Homan effect. We can't agree on everything, and acting as if we can and force people to agree on stuff won't do us any good. Hopefully we can just work with what we can agree on and push for those changes to actually be made to the game, so the game improves for everyone. Alright, so that's it for the main topic. You can, go now if that's pretty much all you were here for, because I'm not really going to be talking much more about that, although this is sort of related. So what I actually want to do is talk more about like my old like gameplay mentality and attitude. I haven't quite chosen like all the videos that I'm going to use as examples yet. Just to like show like the big difference that you can see in my videos. But there's one video in particular that I looked at recently, which is what really had me notice it, and that's the Fighting an Equinox Cheese Squad video. I'll definitely put that one in the description. Both parts 1 and 2, because there are two different videos of it. It's essentially where I'm playing in Annihilation, and then there are, it's free-for-all Annihilation, of course, and there are 3 Equinoxes using, I think they're all using Stug and something else. But yeah, it's mainly, Equinox and Stug combo, and they're teamed up. For like half of the second video, it's just me against them. For the rest of the video, there are other people around, so like it's 1v1, v1, and whatever, and then v3. So yeah, I think like, and so like in that video, I was saying like how it was like the most unskillful strategy that I've seen, and how I still like won in the first match against it. And like it's still for the most part true. Like at least at the time, it was definitely like the most unskillful strategy I've ever seen, and it was also a team up, which made it really unfair, and it was also, and I still like won anyway. So all that was true, and I think I was like sort of like justified in like an eye for an eye way in like saying that. So like I guess not really justified, but it was fair. So like it was fair for me to say that, but you could see me in like similar situations in other videos. Like I link one of the videos where I'm up against you know against people like maybe Cantus or Rubium teaming up, and so like you could definitely say that it would be like fair for me to like say stuff like this in these situations, but that doesn't quite justify. It's not really something that I would do anymore because like I don't think it's a good way to approach the situation. It may generally look like I just do nothing in response to people behaving like that now. But really, I just don't think it's like worth saying anything or like teabagging. Uh, Maybe because it just doesn't really like it just doesn't really help anything. Like if I tell someone who's steaming up that they're bad for doing it, it's very unlikely that they're just gonna stop because of that. So and like same thing with like teabagging and stuff. It's just like it's not really gonna make a difference. So what I instead end up doing is just I'll play it just like I'm ignoring them or whatever, and then uh I'll generally like save the video to like send to support. Uh, I've actually sent like a few videos and screenshots of. I'm not gonna say who already, uh, because I don't want people to specifically be on edge, like from what I've done. I more so want to like catch people doing this stuff and to than to like stop them from doing it not going to if they're not going to stop for like other people or whatever. So like they might so like I might be able to get them to behave around me or whatever, but then they'll still act badly around other people. I do know a specific example of that which I'm actually trying to deal with. Uh, so yeah, it's so I think it would be a lot more effective just to like try to get these people warned, suspended, banned, or whatever. Because just like telling them to stop whatever, that's just not really helpful. On top of that, you could see that I was, generally like, caught in like the the scrub mentality for like, I'd say like the earlier portion of last year. Later on, I started, really coming out of that. I think it was mainly because I was trying to fit in with my clan at the time, which, as you might know, was Al's clan. I'm not gonna talk more about that because I don't want to turn this into a into like any sort of call video, which it would inevitably be if I were to explain that any deeper. I've just tried a few times and I really can't explain it well without saying things about specific people. So with all that said, I'll try to find some of my own examples and stuff, and yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, I'll talk to you all later.